Hi everybody, good morning and welcome to Future Ready PH Roundtable Discussions. Today's topic is all about creating a learning environment for digital learners, particularly with this question in mind. In an age of interconnectedness, what does it take to create a generation of globally competitive Filipinos? My name's Isa Litton and I'll be your host moderator, and I'll be joined by three amazing ladies from different backgrounds, beginning with Ms. Hope Leison to my left, co-owner and education director of the Laran School. Good morning, Hope.
Good morning, Isa.
Hey.
Nice to be here.
We also have Zaika Tumaliwan. She is the founder of Quago, a book bar. Morning, Zaika.
Morning.
And last but not least, we have Grace Anduiza as well, who happens to be the business development head of Globe My Business. Good morning, Grace.
Good morning, Isa. Thanks for having us here.
Well, thank you very much as well to Globe, because, by the way, Future Ready PH is a campaign by Globe that pushes on internet connectivity in more schools here in the Philippines, how internet access is crucial when it comes to creating a competitive learning environment for today's students. So with that in mind, given your backgrounds, of course, I want to start with Hope, who is, after all, an education director. Connectivity, technology, and education. Your thoughts on this?
It's very crucial and important right now. Technology is a very powerful tool that the students are digital natives. For me, it's a good opportunity for the students to be exposed to a variety of perspectives. There's no wall, there's no limit anymore, given the resources that are out there. It's a wonderful tool for teachers and students as well.
Okay, so definitely something that can go hand in hand.
Yes.
Okay, what about Zaika? Your thoughts on technology, education, going together?
Yeah, as a parent, there's a tug of war between embracing technology, because even if it allows my daughter opportunities and open source learning, all of that, access to ideas and knowledge that you cannot access from schools or the school or textbooks, it also opens up a lot of risks. And also I think it's still important that as a parent or as teachers that we teach our kids how to discern and be more critical in this overload of information that you get from YouTube or
anything
media,
that's out there.
Anything that's out there.
But definitely it's still a plus. However,
Yes.
there's caution,
Yes.
of course, and
Yes.
guidance. I want to throw it to Grace, because after all, this is why we're here. Particularly because it's something that Globe provides.
Yes.
So when it comes to education, this is one of the major thrusts of Globe, particularly. Yes?
We're actually considered, we consider ourselves the business unit where we're at, Center for Excellence in Education, because we really value education and how it's a major point for us, because eventually everything in the industry, all the jobs in the industries will be more focused on tech, and that's something that we want to be involved in at an early stage.
Okay.
So we really want to take part in education and how it grows and evolves.
Here's the thing though, Zaika already mentioned a little bit of a caution, kumbaga. But I'm sure though this is, I want to touch on a reality, which is, this is now. You can't escape it. In fact, the very reason why we're even broadcasting that way, this is the now, right? You won't be hearing us, or by the way, if you want to join our discussion, please feel free. Any kind of question or comment, just leave it at the comment section of our live stream. So getting to the point, why we're here, technology is here to stay. It's not necessarily still accessible to everyone, to every school, to every establishment. If not necessarily for financial or punondo capital reasons, resistance in a way that, is there still some sort of I don't want it attitude?
I'd like to answer that. It's not because they don't want it, but sometimes they're afraid or very cautious to take the first step.
Okay.
And sometimes that's all it takes. Because once they get there, there's hand-holding. There's still a lot of hand-holding to be done. And it's not an easy thing to be involved, suddenly move from a traditional method all the way to a tech environment. So that's where we want to take part in, to actually handhold some of our partners and help them lead the way. We want to lead the way.
So it's not resistant. It's
No,
more
not
of,
really.
where do I start?
How?
How
It's more
do
of
I
how
start?
do I start? How do I take that first step?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it's funny also that all this how and trying to get into the program, get with the program, kumbaga, is on the perspective then of us, of teachers, of educators. Because with kids, they are, like what you already said, they're digital natives. 9-month-old, 6-month-old, 2-year-old, 5-year-old, they know what they're doing because they it's something they're growing up with.
Yeah.
So it's actually coming now, the responsibility of making use of this tool or even adapting and using it to your advantage is falling on the adults. So, okay, I want to go back to Hope then. As an educator, what basically is your first step of applying technology, the pros, kumbaga, the pros on how teachers, educators can embrace it and maximize it?
Yeah, it's a very powerful resource. It's a very powerful add-on to the classroom, and it's a very powerful resource for the students. In a country like ours, for example, where we're so kind of isolated, physically isolated, you go on the internet and you read literature, wonderful access to literature when you can find physical books here. Also, there's so much out there that are software programs that tailor fit our needs as educators. For example, our school has special needs children.
Okay.
And of course, technology is a very, very big factor in their success to be part of the natural environment. So,
meaning they're not set aside.
They're not set
classroom,
aside.
It's the regular students plus these special needs, kids with special needs.
Yes, and the more pervasive you have, the more technology you need. And for some neurologically based disabilities, for example, there are software programs that help teachers tailor fit.
Let's break down, these neurological special needs like
autism, learning disabilities, dyslexia. Or just speech problems, or some simple traumas that happen in the childhood of a child.
Okay.
You can't really see it, but there are software programs that helps teachers assess and tailor fit curriculum needs, for example, that don't necessarily make the children so separate from everybody else. In other words, they're accessing the same general curriculum, same quality education, but it's more tailored fit, and the differentiation happens because the software programs allow it.
That's nice. Na again, with technology, inclusivity in schools is possible already. You don't have to say, ay, sa ibang school yung anak nyo. Which, di ba?
Or sa ibang classroom.
Oo, di ba? You don't want that for your child, especially if you do have a child with special needs. So it's just, you feel welcome and they can keep up.
Yes.
That's just also, I may be learning a different way from you, but I'm still learning what you're learning.
Yes, that's right.
That's because of this tool or technology.
Right now, for technology, there are learning platforms that include analytics, and these analytics actually provide teachers with a venue or opportunity to get to know the children even more, understanding them and how they can interact better with the children, and you can customize their learning based on how they advance or how they process. So it's something really good. Something that we should really look forward to and embrace. It's part of the change.
Saika, yes.
I agree with it. I agree with that. It makes teaching more efficient. It democratizes education. But the fear is my daughter will be treated as a statistic. You know what I mean? Not a human being with feelings and emotions. And sometimes the tendency is we outsource teaching to these tools, and they become authority more than us.
Okay.
So I believe this YouTuber more than me.
Parang replaced na, diba?
Yes.
Parang
It's just a tendency.
Is a replacement or some sort of video replaces the actual teacher in the classroom.
Yes.
But that's true din naman nga. Ba't ako nagbabayad ng tuition? Tapos papadala ko dyan, hindi naman pala natututo
Mas
dyan.
mahal pa yung
anak,
tech gadget.
So, thoughts on that naman?
Well, the key word there is that it is a tool. It is not a substitute for the human interaction. Even with anybody with special needs, for example, the human interaction is still more powerful.
Oh, yeah.
But it helps you. I mean, the teaching learning environment is still the teacher that's crucial there, that makes this possible, that kind of safeguards also the access of the children to technology, but not to say that
it replaces
them.
That's why people say, people talk about blended learning environments, because it doesn't really replace, it's mixed.
Yeah.
Because you can never take out the traditional method of learning because of the human interaction. That still needs to be there. They're just tools that aid. I think that would be an appropriate word. You aid them on how they can be more interactive, how can they relate more to the children, just like what you said, they're digital natives. So you have to more or less speak the way they speak or understand them, and it now becomes more relatable for both.
Okay, Saika brought up YouTubers. Or, again, diba? Because it is. Sometimes in a classroom now, kunyari, we're talking about a particular topic, like be it science. I love it that sometimes when my daughter comes home, there's a PowerPoint. Mama, I have to go online to check out this PowerPoint. And then sometimes a video, a demo, diba? Parang how to make this experiment or something like that. But then my frustration is late the next day, it's a test. And I'm like, wait a sec, we just watched, read, and why are you being tested? You didn't have the time to go back to school to discuss. Because that's, I think, one of the things when you look at traditional schools, the opportunity to ask questions, the opportunity to even make mistakes, or when you come away with the thought, na, hey, the YouTuber said like this, like that, but then the textbook says like this, like that, and then teacher, you said also. It doesn't necessarily always align. With, you're talking about learning is all about perspectives, opening yourself up to the world.
One of the things that a good teacher, the mark of a good teacher is to not indoctrinate. That's our rule. You don't indoctrinate to your
Meaning
ideas.
one is
this is
it.
the rug is a rug, not a mat. So,
Sinonimo ang tawag.
so, and that's the part of teacher education, really. That one of the things, because I also teach in higher education, one of the things that's very important as they grow older is to create critical thinking. How? By looking at different perspectives. They have to discern different ideas, and they have to be exposed to different ideas. And that's the key role of the teacher there, is to make sure that the exposure is balanced, but it's not limited as well. So she's still the key facilitator there. You can't leave it up to chance. You cannot just say, okay, I'm going to put you there, you're going to learn perspectives. So
that's one way of a globally competitive Filipino, how to produce a globally competitive Filipino, the ability to discern. Right?
Discern and process properly.
Ask questions. That's another basic na nawawala. Because everyone says, it's so easy to get an answer nowadays, Google. Or
search engines,
everything. But not everything, there's a truth.
Yes. I actually think that AIs or Google, for example, will be very good in answering questions, but it's us, the people, or the asking. No, the asking part is
I thought about that. The software programs are all developed and it's all available for us. But then you see the advancement of humanity. There's still people that man that. So you still emphasize in school the ethical responsibility of creators of software programs, technology, for example. So it's still human, in other words. So in order for our children to grow up in a technological world and be leaders in that sense, there's also that aspect of ethical responsibility in developing these things. So you're not just developing to be a superhuman.
Or an AI.
Or technology
we were talking about that one
to take over our lives.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of sense of responsibility there, and the moral and ethical responsibility that should be injected in the classroom, and as little as they are. So you can't teach it in a vacuum later on. Okay, be moral or be responsible. You can't. But they have to grow up with it. This is available for me, but these are the values. And that the physical person of the teacher and the parents are critical there.
Leading by example as well. Kanina, Grace and I were actually discussing stuff on like AI or how certain jobs really will be replaced by technology. But it doesn't mean it replaces certain human needs and capabilities. You want to expand on this one?
Well, that's still very important because, diba, I read somewhere na eventually in the future, the jobs that will be in demand will be the ones that have psychology background, anthropology, because it's espousing yung human interaction, human intervention, iba pa din eh. There has to be emotion.
Business owners like Saika. But of course, if you're going to put up a business like a book bar, or do you really, it's one thing to have an aspect na, hey, it's a robot serving or something, but at the same time, it's like, hi, how are you? Right? It's just, how's your day?
Connecting to people. And I think it also brings the importance of creativity. Critical thinking and then creativity, because robots can only follow instructions, and the human beings can like solve problems and think of disruptive solutions to issues. So
and choices.
Choices.
It allows for choices, diba? Unlike kunyari, AIs or robots, it's just a
program.
A point from one point to another, diba? But creativity, it's something that's parang inherent pa rin sa humans.
Okay.
So it's still very important.
here's the thing then. So everything is so open, limitless possibilities practically is out there. We've already mentioned some cautionary things, like, of course, irreplaceable guidance, mentorship, discerning. However, for kids, let's bring it down, because my kids are 8 and 12, and you know, they're 8 and 13. You also have a eight-year-old, right? So getting into this, because they are digital natives then, how can we guide them better, especially when it comes to technology? Like you said, Grace, and actually all three of you said, it's out there. What can we use then to safeguard or to teach them ethics? Because ang dami nag-aaway online,
you know,
diba? All these things.
Globe has a campaign. We call it yung Digital Thumbprint Program. It's actually a training to promote responsible digital citizenship.
Because that's part of education.
Yes, it is. It teaches kids security, safety, etiquette.
Yeah.
How to, it teaches them how to respect tech. It's not something that you can use to rant, to fight against, to hide,
to bully,
to be a troll, diba? It's not. It teaches you how to respect it, and then it's for cyber wellness, not just for the students but also the teachers, diba? So it's a program that we run, and for all the schools who want to take part in this campaign and program, all they have to, we'll give you the link later on, and they can just log on and sign up, and then we will be there to actually run the program. Yes, it is.
I just wanted to reiterate that it's free.
Yes, that's part of our CSR program, and that's really how we want to be involved. Because tech is there, but we need to make sure that it's a safe environment for our kids.
It's also very, very important to educate the parents that it is not a replacement for their time and interaction. There are certain families that have rules that no cell phones on tables
during dinner, during meals,
or one Sunday, for example, no tech at all. So it kind of forces you to really go face to face and not hide, express your emotions there, and despite or in spite of the advances that it gives us, it also is a very good opportunity, a very good learning opportunity for teachers to catch certain lessons that are critical to teach digital natives in this day and age.
However, not just for teachers. I want to throw this one to Zaika, because of course, parent is the first. The teachers are the secondary parents then. So for you, Zaika, because you're not only the owner of a traditional book bar, which you also are you write about online.
Yes.
You're a techie.
Yes.
Right?
But I think more of I write because I want to understand it. So I don't really know if I guide my kid. I learn with her and discover with her.
Good. Discover with each other.
Yeah.
That's
I discover
good. As early as
her.
8 years old.
For example, we play video games together. It's more of because I want to get to know what she likes. And she plays this game called Roblox, in an interactive game online. And I'm just super curious why she's so happy when she's playing that. And I'm more of a perspective of, can you guide me?
Okay.
More of, can you guide me? I'm not really like, more intuitive. And we grew up with Star Wars, for example. These movies let us intuitively adjust to technology to robots. Like for examul, BB-8 or
R2-D2 muna.
Yeah, R2-D2.
BB-8 ka ba rin?
These movies allow us to have rapport with technology and love them.
That it's possible. Like the idea of robots, the idea of flying, okay,
like
getting
what you
ahead of
mentioned,
ourselves.
It's not the dark side of tech.
Yeah, and
so,
yung tech, minsan, diba sinasabi nila, no tech for the day, no phones for the day.
Yeah.
But it also becomes an interactive tool for your kid. Now you are, you're watching a movie and then you start discussing the movie or you're playing a game, like what you said, yung roadblock na nilalaro ng anak mo. It's something that you can join and
it's really
enjoy as well.
Very potent form of communication tool. Really, if I might share, if I might share, we had a student with selective mutism, and she started talking via texting.
Oh,
and it was such a breakthrough because cases of selective mutism you only break it in college, but she broke it at 8 or 9 years old just by texting.
Well, that's definitely the pro, right? Because I was about to go the other side naman, cautioning, because of course we're talking about 8-year-olds.
Yes.
Again, when is too young to introduce naman? That's a beautiful case. What you mentioned na, hey, the kid started to talk. But in the others na, again, as early as 9 months old, you're actually really not supposed to expose babies now to screens. Because there's something physical pa nga about brain development or something
that happens there.
Right? So it's the whole young becoming too young. Maybe you're not supposed to leave it with them. You're supposed to guide them with it. Be around them when they actually have the gadget, right?
Yeah, and be an example also. So we as like a model, you were saying a while ago, a model, we should like not, because if they always see us using it, they will just copy and mimic.
The basis for teaching really is whole developmental theory. So you hear about schools that are progressive, alternative. So the basis of curriculum and ways of teaching is really around the human development, the cycles of human development and milestones. And very young children, you cannot discount the theory, it's age old, no?
Yeah.
That they really need human interaction, concrete experiences. So, but I'm a very practical educator, it is there. But not very young. Even the Philippine Pediatric Society and the American Pediatric Society would have a stand already on how
Which
young.
age,
Which age. So preschool age is like 3 is too young.
Okay.
But at the same time, I think I can't tell parents don't have gadgets at home or don't. They're exposed to that.
It's still up to the parents. Definitely, parents' discretion. We're not gonna, we're not gonna mess with that one.
It's not depriving them, but actually being there to manage and guide on the proper use, and actually make it very interactive and engaging.
And not substitute the technology for punishment or as a punishment or anything like
books, we should have bedtime stories.
Sorry, speaking of interaction, that's exactly what we want our viewers, anybody out there online who's actually on board right now, please do leave your comments or questions so I can throw it to our 3 amazing ladies who have been so generous with their ideas and point of views so far. Ladies, on this note then, just to really make it concrete, because we're on the lookout, what we want to happen is to raise digitally, globally competitive Filipinos. We have this access, we have this tool, we have all these different ways, resources to be able to get there. And yet, to break it down, to make it work for us, is still a murky territory. Again, some are not quite that versed. So let's go back to what? Training of teachers? Training of educators?
Getting the teachers on board. Na parang for innovation,
what's the best way
to start?
Yeah?
It's actually building an environment that espouses innovation, because that's
our culture.
Yeah, it's a culture change. Na it opens up opportunities, or it opens up their mind. Na it's not something scary. It's actually something that can help you make your work easier. It's a good thing. So just getting them on board for that. And then one of the things that we're running also sa Globe is we discovered na a lot of schools and teachers have not moved to a blended learning environment, only because some of the teachers are still not yet well versed when it their adoption to tech has been a bit slower than the rest. So what we've run is we call it Project Prism, but it's a learning environment where it's aimed to equip teachers with tools on how they can engage their students better or work with their students better. It teaches them how to gamify certain lessons. Now it makes it fun. And then some kids right now, because they play games. So now learning becomes fun. Learning becomes something that they look forward to. So when we equip these teachers, then suddenly they acquire instructional skills. Because it's different when I just know, like we were talking about it earlier, I know how to use Excel.
Yeah.
But it's different if I have the instructional skills to teach the kids how to use Excel
as well.
properly. So it's gaining that instructional skills that we are closely working on. So we've launched a program just for that.
If not necessarily just for documentation purposes like Excel or PowerPoint or stuff like that, what about even the usage of online social media, right? Or certain apps like Viber groups, Facebook pages. These things also are a way of getting a group together. Because even now, practically every university has that sort of chat, right? So to be able to to get some discussions in place, or even like a lecture from this teacher?
It's become
Sharing.
a tool.
Yeah.
It's become a tool
Knowledge
to,
sharing.
or information. Information dissemination is now done through social media. That's the easiest way because almost everybody is on social media.
That's right.
So we've spoken to a lot of schools who've actually depended on social media platforms as their way of communicating, engaging, and getting in touch with the parents.
Sometimes the homework of my daughter is like distributed in the group. We have a group, a community. Yeah.
There's a both for me on that. Okay, we don't necessarily have to waste paper, yes. And at the same time, save the environment part. And the rest is like, yes, we are all pretty much in the know that it's there. But sometimes, again, what if hindi ko nakuha? Or it's suddenly
you
someone
weren't
feels,
online.
Yeah, you weren't online for some reason. What if you're traveling? What if you were, there are kahit papano some excuses that it just doesn't work out.
Yes.
So we get frustrated, and we're gonna say like, why are you like that?
Yes.
Right? Back
There
in
has
my
to be
day.
a balance. There has to be
exactly,
a balance.
right?
And the teacher is critical there and crucial there. You have to educate the teachers in using tools as more responsibly on their end. In other words, they cannot just abandon their teaching to the tools. They cannot just say, okay, I uploaded my lessons on YouTube, bahala na kayo.
No,
Diba? No,
no.
they can't. Because
That
the
really
whole,
ticks me off as a parent. I'm sorry.
the whole
paid you.
critical thinking gets lost there. I mean, it's just one avenue for delivering your lesson, but really, I cannot emphasize the importance of developing critical thinking. And it's not just in a vacuum. You don't like go to a seminar and you're going to develop critical thinking. It starts at a very young age. Hopefully, when they get to high school, they get to graduate school, they can write a paper because they've been exposed to different perspectives and they know how to question.
Yeah.
And formulate their own opinions.
Respectively,
yes,
respectfully, sorry. Respectfully.
And factually.
Because it's not, those are lost.
Yeah.
Is it just me who's noticed that? But that's really lost nowadays
and based
also
on
in
facts.
interaction.
And based on facts, not just chismis.
Yeah, that's another one.
You can,
right?
they need to learn how to do that. But you cannot go to the other extreme of, okay, let's guard them. Let's not expose them. I've seen kids who are like that. But really, still the human aspect of being there by the parents and by the teachers is still critical.
I want to challenge that guarding or keeping it around the slow living. Do you really think if someone homeschool, back to tradition, think really no cell phone, no laptop, would they make it in this world today?
To be quite honest, I don't think so.
Because you want to be a farmer. Or no, even farmers?
Even
no,
farmers
no,
right
no,
now,
no. My dad's a farmer, so no. Because again, it's part of selling. It's putting your products out
They
there.
might have a hard time relating to the other kids
Yes,
because kids
that's
now
what- that's
talk
a plan.
like
Yeah.
I saw this on my cell phone. I read
Yeah.
about it online. So how do kids? How will they interact with other kids who are exposed to this one? And then sila they wouldn't know what they're talking about, diba? So yun naman yung nagiging downside.
I've seen it in actual real life. There was a boy who was really he couldn't watch TV.
Okay.
And eventually, as the lessons became more complex, we go to Model United Nations, and that needs a lot of information about what's out there. So the only way that he can get is at least watch the news.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you don't really have to
If
go
not
to
newspaper,
I
pinagbasa mo
know.
yung bata ng newspaper. Diba? At least nga ma-condense man
Yeah.
lang in a news report. You're right.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people forget that in a classroom, the social interaction of the children are also a very big resource for learning. If you're if you're in a world of being digitally connected and you are not, you're going to get lost in the conversations with your peers.
Yeah.
That's true.
And so that creates a whole cycle of, oh God, I'm not in.
Hindi ka the fear of missing out. This is not it. This is not it.
I think it's a
something-
good experiment to do that.
Are you willing?
No. I think it's possible, but the child wouldn't be that developed and not ready for social interactions, can brave the world.
Tsaka in the future nga
But it's interesting
A
to
lot
do
of
it
jobs, most jobs in different industries will be dependent on tech.
It's not even jobs. It's a way of life.
That's true.
Yeah.
Right? It's a way of life.
Before it was a privilege.
Be it trying to board a transportation, right? You'd be like, what's this? Pindot, pindot? I mean, right? Or a swipe? Or diba, QSR code?
Tap it. top.
A different take on the advantage of tech in a learning environment, especially for technical schools.
Okay.
You know how expensive it is to get instructors from different countries to fly in and hold courses, but with the availability of different platforms and mediums, now they can just record a video or do a video streaming and lead a class, an instructional class with the use of tech tools. So those are the things that we should really start embracing. And we're not limiting the students with what we have here. It's readily available because it's expensive to bring other people in. You can just, tap instructors na instead of flying them in, you can just use tech.
But virtual learning environments also require a moderation.
I was about to say,
of course, there's going to be a teacher.
There's still some sort of guidance or administrator.
Yes, definitely. So this is let's just put it a guided instructional video. Especially for tech, schools that are heavy on tech, iba yung instructions that you will get. So this
it's very easy to lose that because technology makes our jobs easier. It's very easy to lose that idea that they need guidance. That's really the key word there. It's not a substitute.
By the way, again, our viewers, we encourage your questions or comments. We don't want to hog what's happening here. Are we actually striking a chord with you with regards to our discussion, some of the questions, anything at all that you feel might be relevant to you, or any concern that may be part of your life that you would like to pretty much bring up and share? That's exactly why we're here. It's all about making sure that we are future ready PH. Shifting gears of sorts right now. Why we want to do this again is to make this best effort to be able to make it out there. I don't even want to say global now because the thing is, like you said, in a matter of, it's not necessarily bringing people in. We can observe the world, we can learn from here via online streaming and all that. But shifting gears again, making it here. It's not necessarily just also on a competitive scale, but making it here in our own country. It's already not balanced to begin with. Private schools versus public schools. How can we make it not so imbalanced in a sense that everyone can really have equal opportunities at good work, good pay, good live, having a good life
That's an aspiration naman of Globe kasi we want everybody to be connected. And then we're really working at how we can provide more connectivity, how we can connect more like what you said earlier, yung mga out of reach na mga communities. We try our best to actually reach them in different formats. Maybe now not in direct connectivity now, but yun yung the presence of mga e-libraries, the moving libraries na you bring it to them.
Yes.
So there are different formats right now. It's not overnight. It's not going to happen overnight, but it's something that we are closely working on. Na it's an aspiration talaga.
And it's not going to be that far-fetched to even think of some sort of computer system or in bundok, in the mountains, or even in the middle of the sea. Right?
Yes, we actually, incidentally, I have a project. Quago has a project called Copia. So it's an e-library project. It's based on Raspberry Pi. It's a super small computer, credit card size. And it hosts e-books out of print Filipiniana, open source literature that teaches, that can teach a community how to make a small computer or knowledge that they cannot access anywhere, and it has Wi-Fi. So yeah, so I'm into that. I'm passionate about that. Hopefully, we bring it to like far-flung schools that doesn't have money, budget, or for connectivity and an actual library.
I think this is the relevance of
why we're doing this.
No, because we have projects such as this. Tapos makikita mo ano yung concerns nila. It's more on connectivity. And that's how we partner. What we do right now in Globe, what the difference in how we do things is we really learn, understand, and try to find out, okay, what is it that you need? Sometimes you'd be surprised, it's very basic.
I didn't want to have to think na, is it a one-size-fits-all offer? No, it's not. Because again, it depends where you are or even what the community there is like to tailor fit of sorts. So it's always supposed to be some sort of dialogue.
Yes. Also the basic idea that their cell phones. This is a technology. It doesn't have to be like a really complex thing. Like for people, for teachers who are afraid of technology, I think that's a best breaker there. That to make them realize that they're actually living there. It doesn't have to be like a super complex anything that you live stream in your classroom, but that they're actually holding one in their hands right now.
Tama yun. Minsan nga kailangan mo lang i-define. You just have to define na, okay, you're not really tech averse. Yeah. The fact that you use Facebook, you use Instagram, that's you starting, you know, taking baby steps or getting into the tech world already.
Yeah. Planning a lesson is always kind of challenging for teachers. And in that sense, when you introduce something that they're not completely educated familiar with, talagang it's really going to be, it doubles the aversion to the planning.
But that's why it's education, right? It's really, it's providing something you didn't know in the first place, right? If not, why is there a word like learning or growing at that? That's the reason why we are evolving as we are, because there's always something we didn't know.
Yep.
And that's how we want to push it forward.
One of the things that we do at Globe is we have learning sessions. We call it My Business Academy, but it applies to all to different industries. But also in education, we invite education experts such as yourselves na who can talk to other educators and try to find out ano ba yung mga best practices, new ways of learning, and then what are the new trends? Trends in education. The world it's this very dynamic, fast evolving, and getting these people together to actually have sharings. That's something that we are parang espousing and doing.
Then they'll say, the next level to that is that like I go to conferences and it's very high-tech, schools are getting high-tech, but it's really more the higher education institutions anywhere else in the world. The primary schools are still there. Why? Because it's expensive. That's also the problem there, the cost. So how do you make it more affordable for ordinary schools? Just the very basic ones.
Plus, on top of those concerns, let's not forget also na there are still guidelines on depending which country. Again, the educational system is like certain curriculums. There's CHED, there's DepEd, there's all those things still have to come into play. And when they're on board, also how far do they push? How far do they campaign? Any updates on that?
Our department. We work very closely, of course, with the Department of Education. I think the Department of Education is hoping, and they're so open to technology, like the alternative learning systems. They want that to happen like more strongly, especially in the out-of-reach regions in the world. Once again, it all comes down to sometimes economics. Can we afford this? So if there are people who can share with them, I love the work of the public school teacher. I think they're the most dedicated people that I have ever met, given also all the circumstances that they are faced with, but they need our help. They need our help in that sense to educate them and to just break it, that it's okay. It's okay to use your computers, to use machines to teach your lessons.
So again, getting in this partnership, because Hope already brought it up, one of the questions we have online is how can institutions then work with us parents, with us parents, to really take this active role in digital parenting? I know we've already said that it's never a replacement. We want to be clear on that. It's never a replacement for any parent or any teacher. Right? It's never a replacement. So what is an ideal working hand-in-hand relationship then?
One of the key things that should be institutionalized in schools is a parent education seminars.
That's true. I had to attend that the past 2-3 years. You're right.
But it's not a one-time thing. So it's really
it's developing it.
Yeah, and it starts at admissions. You communicate your values, and you target topics, and I think the most relevant topic these days is about technology. I actually met someone from the UK who developed a manual for parents, and it lists down certain language, mga abbreviations.
Yeah, because we don't get that one. What do you mean by AE, blah, blah, SOSYS, blah, blah. You're like, huh?
You speak IG?
Exactly. So that's the basic part. Like, so you're kind of in the know.
Yes. It's really just getting the parents to be able to express, not so much in a very formal venue of a parent-teacher association. It's just a gathering, and the best resource are parents themselves.
Yeah, it seems tedious. A lot lot of us, of course, were trying to say, that's why we work, so we can provide, and that's why I enrolled you in this really good school. That's why I'm spending on your education. But you know what? It's not just up to them. It may be tedious that sometimes you're going to say, it's 9 to 11, that's my meeting time already, I have to be at work. But you still have to be involved. That's why this question came in.
We have a take on that one also, and how technology plays a role in getting parents involved. Before, it's traffic, diba? Yes. Because I'm a parent myself, but my son's all grown up. But the thing is, sometimes I need to attend the parent-teacher conference. The time it takes for me to get from my office to my school. But now with the tools, I can actually use Google. I can use Hangouts to you know, have video conferencing for us to have this interaction already, and now the parents can get involved without having to be physically present
and still get the right information.
Exactly.
Speaking of getting the right information, I got another question. How do we deal with fake or wrong information online? This was a lengthy discussion earlier when we talked about discernment, how to discern.
Well,
so this is always tricky.
Yeah, there are really training programs, and this needs to be a little bit more structured. You just don't say, teachers, go to this website and discern for yourself. But there are really teacher training programs that help teachers discern what is fake and what is not. And again, it's a cycle. It's this cycle of technology. The best resource is still online platforms and how. You know, to discern. And social media is a very good platform because there are really people who are responsible enough to say, well, that's a predatory site.
Yeah.
We can provide knowledge or access to certain tools that can help filter yung mga sites such as this, how you can prevent your child from accessing sites that are not supposed to be accessed at their age.
Or even information. Be it, for me, again, it's back to this what I told Grace earlier. Is Pluto really a planet or not? Because the past 5 years, they said it's not a planet anymore. Then I think just last year, they said, it's a planet again.
Kaya sometimes, meron namang keywords na lang eh. Sometimes, when you type something, there are keywords that prevents you from actually accessing or getting to sites that you're not supposed to be at.
So the more ethical value that you want to implement, like the life of the classroom, is that you can't rely on chismis. That's, for me, that's very, very big for me. You get to your facts and substantiate and show me your references. That's research work that the children need to engage in as early as 3, 4. They're very good with it. I mean, it doesn't have to be super highfalutin.
But also to give credit where credit is due, because you didn't come up with this.
Correct.
With these details or these facts. Always, what's it called in college if you
reference it, you cite it, you
or when you take credit for someone else's work.
Plagiarism.
You get expelled for that. So please, these are really important values that you have to learn. It's later on in the office. Can you imagine if someone got away with that? And then you're in your office, it's my idea.
Intellectual property is
exactly. So all that is a big deal, and it has to start, like you said, very young.
So hopefully when they get to higher education, I teach also higher education, they know how to write papers. They can critically discern facts and they can substantiate.
Okay.
So
pretty much time flew. I think that's pretty much. So before we wrap things up, I want to get last minute thoughts again, how to wrap it up, having our discussion again. So for you to really take, what does it take then, as a parting word for our viewers, to what would be best to create a generation of globally competitive Filipinos? What for you would be the key push to make this happen? Because we've talked about discernment, we've talked about technology, we've talked about the pros and cons, cautionary. What would be a key takeaway then for you?
Technology is there to support, not to replace. That's all I can say. I mean, it exposes you to a lot of diverse ideas, given that you can't travel or you can. I always say to my students in grad school, getting to airports is like a big education by itself, and you can't get physically there. But it cannot substitute actual human interactions and the value of human interactions and social learning.
Saika?
I think we should be value-based in terms of educating our kids.
That's part of education.
Humility and openness, because I noticed that a lot of us are averse, scared. We have this inherent fear against technology helping us, but I think we should be open and have humility to learn and discover with the kids. That's what I'm doing now, and that's it, I think.
Some things you don't necessarily pick up just in the classroom,
Yes.
or even just through technology. I like how you had to highlight values are picked up first and foremost between interaction. Humans, it's really a human-to-human thing. And last, before I give it to Grace, this is really relevant because this is brought forward by Globe.
Yeah.
This is very, very relevant to Globe. So,
well, being in business development, I appreciate where I'm at. I am in a place where I can continue to be a learner.
Yeah.
Because I appreciate talks like this. I like talking to people and learning about, okay, what are the new trends and how Globe can play a part, how we can be a partner. And it goes just beyond products and how we can be a partner in making dreams happen. Right. Diba? Nation building, that's one of our vision. Yun yung vision namin is how we can produce globally competitive students and how Globe can play a big role in that. And that's us being learners, understanding and really trying to find out, okay, what would be the best approach and how we can handhold everybody together.
Yes. And you still find value in writing with your pen.
I do.
yeah, I do. You know, never lose that, please.
Not the keyboard with the pen.
They're the human intervention.
Yeah.
There's more emotion when you write rather than you just typing something.
Correct.
So it becomes,
And it's been proven. Actually, when you write something down, it helps with your
it's a
memory
job.
even
When
more.
you type something, you're working. But if you write something like a journal, it becomes personal.
Hand in hand always,
Yes.
and never stop learning. That's definitely one of our key takeaways for today. So yes, how about, I can't ask you for a round of applause, but thank you very, very much to Hope, to Saika, and to Grace. Thank you very, very much for joining us for today's Future Ready PH Roundtable discussion. And by the way, should you have any more comments, maybe it was too early for you to be part of our comments and discussions today, but yes, you can bet that this is pretty much online, and that will be boosting it. For anything you'd like to share, anything you'd like to say, please do leave them in the comment section of live stream, or actually add to it by simply adding the hashtag FutureReadyPH. We're always open to your thoughts and comments. So with that, my name's Isa Leto, and thank you for joining us. Enjoy the rest of your day.